All right, hello and welcome back to Bookish, and welcome to another I'm in the car doing a tag video. Forgot to film yesterday for Tag Tuesday, which is today, so this video probably won't go up till this afternoon, this evening, but you know, it'll be okay. This is the I Am the Reader tag. I was tagged by Rashmika over at Rashmika Likes Books. She is a brilliant young person, a reader, a writer, a thinker, and without sounding condescending at all, she is in the process, I think, of thinking her way through the world she finds herself in, and I just think she's just brilliant. Anyway, go check out her channel. I'll leave a link down below. I don't know where this tag actually started. It may have started with EmmaBooks. I don't know, but I will leave a link to that channel as well, just in case that's where it started. So here we go. There are 8 questions. Question number 1 is to choose one word that describes a reader. And my one word is going to be curious. I imagine that's a pretty common response to this question, that readers are just curious. We want to know. We want to know, you know, when reading nonfiction, since this is Nonfiction November month, we want to know about things and events and people. And when reading fiction, I think what we really want to know about, and excuse me for this sounding kind of goofy, but we want insight into, for lack of a better term, the human heart and the human experience. I think that reading fiction, reading literature, fiction, is ennobling because it makes us think beyond ourselves. It puts us in contact with other people. You know, just because the characters are fictional doesn't mean their experiences don't draw from real life. Anyway, there's my answer, a really long one, to question number 1. Question number 2 is to name the first book you fell in love with. That book would be Call It Courage, and I just forgot the name of the author, but I'll put an image of the book right here. We'll have the author's name. I actually found an image that is the cover from the same cover I had. This copy of this book when I was, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 years old. This is one of those books I got from the Scholastic Book Club. I think here in the United States and England and Canada, maybe, the Scholastic Book Club used to come to schools and set up book sales, and they put out a catalog and you could order books. And to be honest with you, that was my favorite, one of my favorite things. Looking through that catalog and then marking all the books I wanted, and then going to my mom and asking her how much money I could spend, and then having to decide which books I was going to get, because certainly I couldn't get all the books I marked. There's something kind of deliciously, I don't know, rigorous about having to think that hard about which books I wanted. But Call It Courage is definitely a book, probably the first book I fell in love with. It's the story of a young Polynesian boy who gets trapped on an island by himself, and he has to learn to survive. And I probably read that book, I don't know, 10 or 15 times when I was a kid. So that's my answer to question, or prompt number 2. Prompt number 3 is just simply hardback or paperback. I believe I answered this in other tags, and my answer is paperback. Hardback books are cool to look at, and certainly they last longer, and the author gets paid more money. The truth of the matter is, a good paperback is a lot easier to hold and to carry with you, and it's a lot more pleasant to hold and read, I think, than the average paperback. Prompt number 4 is, how has reading shaped you and made you the person you are, or shaped your identity? Well, I think everything, that I am professionally is a product of reading. I read as a child. My interest was history. When I went to college, I studied history. That led me to a career as a teacher in the academic world. That led me to an advanced degree in history, a master's degree, which led me to research in historical topics, which led me to writing and publishing on at least one historical topic. And professionally, that's who I am, and it all comes from being a reader. As a person, I think I'm known as someone who reads and someone who enjoys talking about books. I think that's a part of my identity. I know in my family, someone embroidered my grandmother a thing that had our last name on it, and then every member of our family appeared somewhere around the letters of the last name doing something that was supposed to be typically them, and I'm not surprising, sitting with my back against the letter B reading a book. So, at least within my family, people think about me as a reader. Question number 5 is, what book do you read when you need to be comforted? This was really kind of interesting. I'm not sure that I read for comfort's sake very often. I will say that when I was in high school and junior high, I read The Lord of the Rings obsessively over and over again. I think I've mentioned this before. I would read it to the end of The Return of the King and then go back and start again immediately. I don't know how many times I read those books, but if you ever saw my paperback copies of The Lord of the Rings, they're in pretty sad shape. They are well thumbed and well loved paperbacks. But as an adult, I think the book that probably I would say I go to for comfort is the Upanishads. It's which I'm sure you know, is a book of Hindu religious wisdom. That's what I'm going to call it. I have this little kind of Penguin Classic edition of the Upanishads, which is well thumbed and well loved. It's certainly not the complete Upanishads. It's just a selection. And sometimes when I just feel that life is tumultuous and I'm kind of dealing with a lot of things, or I'm stressed, I'll just read a few of my favorite passages, and sometimes passages that I've forgotten, and they give me a sense of peace, a sense of connection with humanity, of the world, beyond just the narrow scope within which I live, a connection to other people. So I would go with the Upanishads as my answer to that question. Question number 6 is, who taught you to be a reader? That would definitely be my parents. My mother was a high school English teacher, and during my high school years, during my elementary school years, she was pursuing a master's degree, I believe in American literature. Her favorite writer is Mark Twain. There's Mark Twain stuff all over our house. My father was an amateur furniture maker, woodworker, and he built huge bookshelves that were built-ins in our house, and they were loaded with books. He is not uncommonly a Civil War history buff, and I remember him reading the Bruce Catton series about the Civil War when I was a little boy, and certainly seeing them read is why I decided that reading was something that people did, and something that was good to do. And so they definitely taught me to be a reader. Question number 7 is your dream reading lounge. Well, my dream reading lounge is the study where you see me film most of my videos. When I talked about a room with a view, I kind of talked about how that I claim that room for myself as my study, as my reading room, as my writing and working room, and it remains such. There's nothing about it I would change. I do need a new reading lamp though, so if I just put a better lamp in that room, since I'm getting kind of old and my vision's going, I need more light, that would be helpful. And then question number 8 is, what book changed the way you act, the way you think? And I'm going to go back to the Upanishads. I think that book, and I'm certainly not a Hindu or a Buddhist or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but those are not my faith. But I think that book and kind of the essential wisdom it contains is just very centering, and it made me, I think the term for it is, more mindful of my actions, of my place in the world, of good versus evil, what I wanted to do, how I could live, hopefully a more meaningful life. So that would be my answer to that question as well. Anyway, there you go. That is I am the reader tag. I will scroll a list of people I'm tagging, since I forgot to bring that list. I'll scroll a list of the people I'm tagging up the screen right now, and I'll put those channels in the comment section below. Look forward to hearing your comments, and as always, thanks for watching.